Interjection here from Nation of Warriors. This is my 4th 1v1 commentary in my commentary series. So here is a level 27 captain playing Russia, obviously against myself playing Spanish on the Great Plains. In my first commentary that I did say I would be uploading every video or every game that I played, but in the end that turned out to be pretty difficult and not really practical or feasible in any way. So instead I am and will be uploading just interesting games that were okay and nice to commentate. So right before the game starts, I've got a little bit of time just to micro those 3 settlers there onto food crates so I can get that first 100 food into my stockpile as quickly as possible for that first villager, which I think I get in at about 8 seconds. There it is. And then the other 3 settlers, they all were told to shoot 1 bison, and it takes 3 shots to kill a bison, so essentially they insta-killed it. So push in here for maximum efficiency. I do tell my villagers once they've finished collecting the crate to go into the town centre, and I do that by holding the shift key, right-clicking on the food crate, then right-clicking in the town centre, and then once I've done that I click on the town centre and I'm pressing the N key, and the N is the eject hotkey, and as soon as they enter the town centre they then exit it and then start walking towards the gather point for the town centre, so that they start walking onto that resource that I want them to. Again, pushing for maximum efficiency. Don't want to waste any time at all collecting food, and obviously less time wasted means I'll have more food, meaning I can hopefully get to age 2 quicker. I did see a 60 food treasure, which is slightly to the left of the map and now to the right, because obviously the camera angle has changed, but I decided not to go for it in the end because I want to scout the map a bit more, obviously find my next huntable herd that I can herd back to my town, but more importantly I'm looking for a wood treasure, the one guarded by the 2 pistolero outlaws, or the one by the 2 grizzly bears. Obviously with that extra wood I will be, or it will be contributing to a trade post, which is essential for Spanish really, because it's not essential, but it really is a very, very good and useful building to have, because obviously you get all this extra XP, which means more shipments in age 3, meaning a stronger fast fortress, and that is the strategy I'll be trying to pull in this game. Right here I'm doing a technique called creeping, which means instead of actually fighting the coyote, I get outside of its attack radius so they run back towards the treasure, and then to finish it off I get inside the attack radius, shoot it dead, and then get right back outside the attack radius. I did shoot that one rather than finishing off the other coyote there, because shooting the coyote would be overkill and I don't want to waste any of my shots, and in the long term I would actually finish collecting the treasure faster, so then I can get more exploration in. In light of not collecting the 60 food treasure in order to find the wood treasure, collecting this settler treasure probably wasn't a good idea, because obviously that takes up a lot of time, and a lot of that time was used for me looking at the explorer, which meant I wasn't herding. That time was kind of lost herding. I could have been herding had I actually decided to go there, but in the end that was quite micro intensive for me. Right now I have over 800 food, so I should be aging up, but I'm not, so all of that efficiency at the start is kind of wasted. Definitely should be aiming not to do that. This really isn't an actual representation of the way I age up, and I've done this before in another commentary now, so it might look like I'm always late, but mostly I'm pretty on the ball for getting that age up as soon as I hit 800 food. Now that I'm aging to age 2, obviously really trying to get these bison herds in. They should be in my town or very close to it by now, but obviously I spent quite a lot of time getting that settler treasure, which stopped that. Right there, my explorer has been told to go and get the 140 food treasure, which is a pretty good treasure. Obviously it's quite a substantial amount of food. Is going to help. I'm surprised the Russian player didn't get it. Actually no, I'm not. The Russian player was going for the 95 wood treasure. You might have noticed it. I told my explorer to attack his I told my war dog to attack his explorer whilst he was collecting the 95 wood treasure, and I imagine he did get the treasure, but he took a lot of damage, and plus my war dog was then able to finish him off, which is pretty good. So I'm anyway, back to the game. That 140 food treasure hopefully gonna allow me to get to age 3 faster, and hopefully have a powerful or more stronger strategy fast fortress. So right now, I'm looking at all the different treasures I might be able to collect in the time left to me, and in the end I decided that working on the, I think it's 420 XP, something like that, is guarded by 4 outlaw pistolero horse people. And obviously getting that is quite a substantial amount of XP. I can crackshot one of the guardians and then run away and wait until my crackshot has recharged, and then I can go in and eventually finish it off. That was the idea at the time anyway. Right, my tower placement here. Talking to Secret Shogun. He commented on my post on the Age Community Forum. He told me that my tower placing was awful from my last Spanish game, and I've taken on board some of the comments of his. Also, another comment of his was building the trading post. If I did get enough wood to build a trading post, I should be building that in my town and not on the central trading post. Last game I did build it on the central trading post, and the thinking behind that at the time was, if I build on the central trading post, then my enemy cannot have that trading post, because obviously I've already got it. But he pointed out it's a lot easier to defend one in your own base, and to be honest, that does make a lot more sense. The tower placement here was so that I could herd the bison around that tower, which is ideal for garrisoning, because obviously the villagers would be collecting food right outside the tower, and it's very easy to garrison. Now, right here, the 700 coin has arrived, but I did send that very, very, very late. I sent that, I don't know how many seconds after. It could have been 20, maybe more seconds after I hit Colonial, and really, I should be sending that 700 coin the moment I hit Age 2, but I didn't. I waited. I wasn't really on the ball that time. Another huge mistake from me. Really should have sent that sooner, because it does affect the rest of the game quite significantly. I could have won this or repelled this rush here a lot easier had I sent that sooner. Obviously that will be explained later in the game. Now, on my previous commentary, on commentary number 3, I think somebody commented and said that the Spanish were absolutely awful when rushed. Now, in this video, I endeavour to show that person or anybody else that that is not correct, and that Spain are very, very good, and they have quite a few devices up their sleeve for repelling a rush. Now, right now, you can see I'm sending that 7 Rodolero shipment, and you might be thinking, well, that's not going to help you. Well, it does. The idea is not that the 7 Rodolero on their own will do anything, which is why I'm setting the spawn point for them away from the fight. Don't want them to take any damage just yet. The idea is I'm gonna, I've chosen the 4 cavalry, the 4 hussar bonus for aging up. So when I hit age 3, I'll get 4 hussar, and as soon as I age up, hopefully I can call Minutemen at the same time, and I'll bring them Rodolero in at the same time, and those 5 war dogs just created there, I'll bring them in at the same time. Obviously got my town centre fire, and the explorer will also be there at the same time, and I'll have a rather large, or a rather kind of makeshift army that will repel this rush away. Right there I was trying to collect the wood up, because I know that I need a house or perhaps 2 houses to get my first shipment off. Right now I don't have enough population, and here's my explanation as to why sending them shipments earlier would have been a lot better and easier to repel, because obviously I would have had that. Here we're going in, all of the units converging at one moment, like I said. Anyway, had I got that wood, sent that 700 coin and 700 wood earlier, would have had that house up quicker, and could be now sending my first shipment, and I think it's delayed perhaps over 30 seconds. Right here now, sent the villagers out back to work, although at the time I think I overestimated the size of his army, so I put them right back in again. And I also clicked the repair button on the town centre, which is also not a very good move. Shouldn't have repaired that town centre. I haven't done it yet, but I do it. First I'm getting that. Yeah, there we go, I repair the town centre, wasting effectively, what, like 200 wood, which is 2 houses. For the rest of the game, I would not expect there to be any kind of pressure on that town centre at all, and I might consider repairing it later in the game, but right now I should have just used that wood for houses and my military building. I select the barracks in the end, and I to train skirmishers. But yeah, back to the 700 coin and the 700 wood shipment, they should have been sent a lot earlier. Like as soon as you hit the colonial, I should be sending them, because obviously those 5 lancers could be here by now, helping me win that fight. Anyway, back to my unit choice. I decided to go skirmisher from the barracks, but I think that's to counter obviously the musketeers, but also I've got these lancers countering musketeers. I really don't understand my unit choice when I look back on it. This game, I'm just thinking, I don't understand why I picked skirmishers and lancer as my initial units. Anyway, in the end, they work out pretty well. Certainly could have been a better unit choice, but the ones I got, I do use them fairly okay, I'd like to say. Perhaps, well, definitely better. I'm not perfect by any means. So right now, obviously, I'm collecting wood with 3 settlers. Had I not spent that on repairing the town centre, then I could have them collecting another resource, which means more resources for troops. Now right here with these 5 lancers, I'm not going to go for his blockhouse, but instead I'm going to hopefully go straight up to his town centre and get a raid in. Lancers, definitely not the best thing to be raiding with. Hussars obviously better because they do straight up 30 damage to a settler. Lancers only doing 20. Obviously though they are much better at countering infantry, but anyway, I don't have any hussars or any other units to be raiding with, so lancers, better than standing in my base doing nothing, are actually up in my opponent's base trying to do something useful. If you think of it this way, a lancer costs 200 resources in total, and if it's sitting there doing nothing, that's 200 resources wasted, just not doing anything. And that's if you consider that the steel traps upgrade is 250 resources. 50 more, you could have had steel traps, which is the 20% to hunting upgrade. Obviously they do cost completely different resources, but this is just trying to give you some perspective of why your military units really shouldn't be idle. If you can help it, they should always be doing something useful. Right now, going for that blockhouse because my army's increased a little bit in size, and all those skirmishers and lancers do have absolutely terrible siege. There is enough of them there, and his army isn't, my opponent's army isn't particularly large, although I should be looking at the fight right now because I'm being absolutely ninjaed by Cossacks. Now, when you remember that Cossacks are just cheap Russian cavalry, kind of like the counterpart to Hussar, they're not actually quite good at countering Lancer, because obviously Lancer only do 20 hand attack, whereas Lancers only do 20 hand attack, whereas a Hussar does that 30. And obviously, since Hussars are cavalry, Lancer isn't going to be doing his multiplier against it. Obviously, these aren't Hussars; they're Cossacks, but it's similar kind of reasoning, similar thing there. Right now, I'm retreating because those Cossacks doing a good job of mincing my skirmishers, and obviously the Lancers too. But fortunately, my pikeman shipment arrives in the nick of time to hopefully kind of there he goes. He's retreating his cavalry right now. Should be pulling back. So yeah, okay, not sure what happened there. I'm back. Those pikemen going in, and now his cavalry run away, and that's the idea. Hopefully, then pikemen aren't supposed to be taking any damage at all. But obviously, my micro is not perfect. So yeah, the pikemen rush in, push the cavalry away, and then that way my skirmishers don't take any damage. But obviously, if my pikemen stay there, they'll be taking shots from the Strelets and other units, and if I lose them pikemen, then them Cossacks are free to destroy my lancers and skirmishers. So right now, my settler production isn't fluent right now. I have now stopped creating settlers. Probably done that a few times throughout the game. If I could be more on the ball there, definitely could be pushing my gameplay to another standard. But yeah, something I need to work on. Right there, all his Cossacks are actually attacking my pikemen. Not entirely sure why he did that, because although he does do a good job of taking out a lot of the pikemen in terms of cost efficiency, I definitely got a super win there. He put his Cossacks straight onto my counter. Not entirely sure why he did that, but not complaining. Maybe it would have been an interesting game had he not, but yeah, right now going for that stable. The buildings order that you should be destroying is always go for the military buildings, because then they can't train military, and if they want to train military, we'll then have to create a new building, which is 200 resources straight up, or if for the the blockhouse is obviously a bit more, and obviously the blockhouse also gives 5 population, which is pretty good. Anyway, back in the game, those I am retreating off the skirmishers and the lancers because there are no anti-cav anywhere near. Obviously, I've got that Rodolero shipment just there. Now, hopefully coming in to defend should I need to. Skirmishers trying to walk towards the cavalry, hopefully lure them cavalry to attack me. Hopefully I'm thinking he hasn't seen the Rodolero, which are attacking that stable there, but going to attract the cavalry in so that the Rodolero can then run up behind me when he's not expecting it, and hopefully can ninja a few of them cavalry to death. Also, the reason I was walking them skirms into his base is hopefully I'll see a few villagers that I can shoot, and obviously every villager I kill sets my opponent back 25 seconds. Here we are, lured the cavalry in. The timing could have been better for the arrival of the Rodolero, but essentially did the good job, and I can shoot his cavalry. Obviously, skirmishers don't do great damage against cavalry, but damage is still damage, isn't it? I did lure them quite close, so I am maximizing the amount of damage my skirmishers can do. Right here, now going to walk my Rodolero off towards his cavalry. See, there they go, they're retreating, keeping them off the skirmishers. I've chosen to retreat because obviously Minutemen were called, and Minutemen cost only 300 resources. Think of this as 3 Minutemen being three musketeers worth of resources, and when you think of that many Minutemen going up against 3 Minutemen are definitely worth every penny or every pixel of food and coin that you have. Definitely worth it. Very good investment, and usually only sent as a last resort. Although I did send mine, obviously, when I hit Fortress Age, but with the convergence of that army, hopefully would have been a big surprise. A nice little army out of nowhere to defend myself. Right now I'm now sending those 12 pikemen because I have ran out, or am starting to run out of anti-cavalry. And I need to be able to defend my skirmishers, and also I'm thinking about sieging him and pushing him, and pikemen with their high siege damage are going to be quite useful for sieging. I split my skirms off into 2 groups, into control 1 and 2, so that I can use 1 control group on 1 villager and then 1 control group on the other villager, and maximize the amount rather than completely overkilling 1 villager. Now his Cossacks come out of nowhere and start to kill off my Rodolero. Not entirely sure why I did that again, but it did allow me to completely remove all of his cavalry from the game, leaving me no problem for my skirmishers at all. Had my pike. I'm not sure if you saw the pikeman shipment slip in there, but sometimes it's good not to be afraid of a few anti-cav if you've got a lot of cavalry, because then you can kill them off and then absolutely ninja the skirmishers, which the skirmishers obviously were in his base, and he could have then, once he killed the Rodolero, run in and kill my skirms. But obviously I don't know if he noticed the pikeman jump in there. Perhaps he didn't see, and then obviously the pikeman killed off all of his cavalry, and it's good game, as you can see here. I'll speed up the rest of the video until the graphs. Right, so here are the graphs. Looking at villager count, my villager production wasn't too bad. Did lose a few villagers after the Fortress Age, which definitely could have been avoided. Definitely something to work on, and my villager production, keeping that more constant, is also something I need to work on to improve my gameplay. Here's the shipments total, just thought I'd have a quick look at that. Treasures, I collected more treasures, pretty good. XP, just a few graphs I thought might be interesting. Score. Yeah, pretty good. My economy score was higher than his, yet he was able to produce more resources than me, which was rather confusing. Anyway, here's the idle villages. For quite a while there, had 16 idle settlers for a very long time. Yeah, that's quite a lot of resources wasted, and definitely something to look out for. Could have had a few more units out had I not done that. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Leave a like if you enjoyed it, and do subscribe if you would like to see more videos from this channel.